Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Huddle. As always, you're joining myself, and Big Willie Style is back, but with his voice. He was back last week. We're getting the camera sorted in time. Don't worry about it. People, don't fret. I know you miss his beautiful, handsome face, but his face will be back on your screen soon. We are going to be breaking down Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis, the fight card coming up. And as we mentioned last week, we're looking to just tweak it a little bit the way we do this. So we're going to start from the main card, break the main card down, and then kind of almost quick picks on the prelims. As always, give us a subscribe on the channel. It'd be great if you could hit the subscribe button below. It takes a moment to do that. Hit a like if you're enjoying the video, and if you've got any bets or fight picks, join the conversation below in the comments. Let us know who you're picking, what fights you're looking forward to, and if there's anything in general in MMA you want to talk about, it'd be great to have you all join in there. So we're going to jump into this shortly, but Will, first and foremost, hope life is great with you and the family, bro.
Yeah, it's kind of getting into Christmas mode. The little one's kind of counting down the days, and it's just something kind of really to look forward to after the kind of madness of this year. So we're actually kind of talking about the UFC cards in December as well, which actually look shit hot, if we're being honest with you, considering this one's not shit hot, but it's there's some good cards coming up, some good spots for betting wise. I'm looking forward to exploring and seeing if there's some value in some bets there. So get through this card, get into December, and get some decent cards to finish off the year, and then it looks like we've got some massive cards to start the start of 2021. So looking forward to that also.
We have indeed, yeah, bro, big time. So, like I said, at the end of this as well, the picks will be doing his bets and give you an idea of the lines to look at and what to potentially go into. Let's kick off then with, Will, the first fight on the card that we have for the arrangement, which sounds a bit weird, but is Anthony Smith against Devin Clark in light heavyweight division. Not an easy one to look at from a breakdown perspective because, you know, one man's kryptonite is one man's strength. But, Will, what are you seeing in this fight?
Yeah, a relatively close fight, I think. I think in this spot here that, or just pretty much in his career at the minute, I think Anthony Smith is starting to. I don't want to say he's slowing down because the opposition that he has been facing recently is, I think, a higher caliber than what Devin Clark is. Even though I think Devin's slowly but surely starting to kind of find his way into his kind of prime of his career, probably. But it's whether Anthony Smith is really taking a downgrade down here in his kind of skill set, in my opinion. But it's fairly obvious the way that Devin Clark really wants to win this fight. He wants to kind of clinch up and probably try and take the fight to the ground. That's something that kind of Rakic did. He got a takedown, but he predominantly smashed him with low kicks. And that is one of Rakic's best weapons. He showed that in the Justin Ledet fight. And Anthony Smith, over his career, actually went back and watched some fights back in Strikeforce. That's something that he always got blasted with was low kicks. He was always wide open for it. Now, Devin Clark's got those massive tree trunk legs.
Yeah.
Sure that he's probably, if he uses them to his advantage here, that he could absolutely start smashing those legs, make Anthony Smith kind of wilt a little bit, and then try and get takedowns and maybe be a bit heavy on him. And like I say, Anthony Smith this year in his two fights that he's had has taken a lot of damage. So I'm kind of leaning on the Devin Clark side, and I don't feel comfortable being in that side. I feel this could be a greasy kind of close 29-28 either side, because like I said, I don't think Devin Clark's super high level, and I mean Anthony Smith made all it all the way up to getting a fight with the great John Jones. So I am going to side on Devin Clark's side, but I'm not overly confident. But Anthony Smith, to me, if he shows up, I think he could maybe put a little bit of a beating on Devin Clark. Kind of like the first round against Glover Teixeira, I thought he had a great round there, but once he started to get broken down, my goodness, did he start to get broken down. It really continued into the Rakic fight as well. So I'll take Devin Clark, close 29-28 decision.
I think one of the advantages in the fight for Anthony Smith is that Devin Clark isn't a Rakic or a Glover Teixeira where they've got good striking. They've got really good striking. Like Glover, we know, has got tremendous boxing. He's got good head movement, good counters, and he hits really hard. Rakic, showed a great array of striking in his own sense. But with Devin Clark, we know he kind of throws a little bundle of strikes while he's charging towards you to engage in that grappling aspect to get you down to the ground. And that's where I think he's going to be looking to take the fight. But one thing we've always got to make a note of with Anthony Smith, with that long body that he's got, he's good with those elbows. Do you remember with the when you're going for the takedowns? He's got good elbows when you're going for takedowns, and it's a real asset and a real weapon to have. And that's one of the things he maybe, for me, relies on a little bit too much potentially sometimes. But Devin Clark's shown that he doesn't get takedowns first time every time. He tends to have to sometimes grind out the takedown or the grappling aspect, and that's a danger where Anthony Smith might throw those elbows on him. And Anthony, I admit he has got a poor takedown defense. He's not too bad at getting up either. And again, he's got submissions as well himself. Devin Clark, this is a really good chance for him. For me, if I'm Devin Clark, I would just get Anthony Smith to the cage and just grind out a awful, boring decision win. I would accept a 15-minute grind of getting him against the cage, not getting him to the ground, and just wear on him. Just wear him on. I don't see Devin kind of throwing the strikes that Anthony Smith has had to face in his last couple of fights. So there's a bit of freedom for Anthony Smith to maybe be expressive with his striking, throw those heavier shots, and not worry too much that Devin Clark's going to come at him too aggressively. Anthony Smith's he's not even that old in the sport, even though he's fought quite a lot. He's only 32 years old or something like that. So he's got one foot on the TV side of things, analyst. So I'm not sure how much. Now, after he's had his title fight, he's committed full time to the fight game for a long time. He might look at this as a couple of years and he's out because he's quite an intellectual lad. But I'm going to go with Anthony Smith on this one. I feel that with the offensive takedowns that Devin Clark throws, the striking that Anthony Smith can throw those elbows can cause problems for Devin to maybe put him off for the takedowns, and it might have to change the takedowns that Devin Clark goes for. So I'm going towards Anthony Smith for this one. Really tight decision win. I don't think I don't know if there'll be even a stoppage. Next up, we have in the welterweight division. Love this fight myself. Miguel Baeza against Takashi Sato. I like Sato and Baeza in this fight. From a striking perspective, I think we're going to get a lot of fun back and forth in this one, because I know, sadly, for Jason Witt, he came in super short notice and got cracked with Sato, who's nothing out the ordinary. He's not going to bring anything that's going to surprise to him. He's not going to go out there with a flying kick off the cage, or he's not going to do anything bonkers. But what he's got solid basics, and he does them really well. He has a 1-2 combination that is crisp, precise, and he's got good measurement with his range. Now, don't get me wrong. Beating Ben Saunders in this day and age, it isn't a huge accomplishment. Anyone beating Ben Saunders in the last 3 years, it's not something to write. It's not something you think, oh, that was a big statement. But he got the job done on his debut. Belal Muhammad, I think that's a huge step up. I think Ben Saunders to Belal Muhammad, that's a big step in that welterweight division. He did well in the fight. Don't get me wrong. I think Belal Muhammad's a handful for anyone in that welterweight division. He's got a incredible skill set. He's got great conditioning. He did well in that fight, and Jason Witt. So for me, I think we're still seeing Sato get settled in the UFC, but I think he's got a great opportunity here against someone like Miguel. For me, Miguel sometimes leaves himself open to not the gunfight, but he's handy. He will stay in the pocket a little bit too long, maybe. But he himself, as we saw with Matt Brown, he gets wobbled, he gets hit, he does get hurt. Now, Matt Brown, for me, isn't the quickest striker, hasn't got the quickest hands. Matt Brown, for me, he's got heavy hands. They're a little bit slow and sometimes not traditional clean striking. He's a little bit wayward with the strikes. I think Miguel here might be in trouble. And I only say that because he's fought Hector Aldana and then Matt Brown. Hector Aldana, not UFC level, and Matt Brown way past his prime. So he's fought two guys who I think are going to be a little bit lower on Sato's level. So I think Sato here might have an opportunity to really hurt Miguel. And actually, I think we might see a stoppage here for Sato. So I'm actually picking Sato stoppage with that left hand. I think he might be able to stop Miguel here, maybe in the second, third round. But I think the first round's going to be a cracking round. It might be in the round of the night there, because those two have got some good striking, the pair of them.
Yeah, I really do like the fight. I like what I see from Baeza alone in his career, and I like what they've did kind of matchmaking wise. They've kind of built him up a little bit slowly. They kind of gave him an elder veteran in Matt Brown last time out, where he landed some massive shots on Matt Brown, but Matt Brown being Matt Brown managed to get some off in Miguel and buckle him a little bit, which was. And things as well, if you watch some of Baeza's fights, especially the Dana White Contender Series winning against Victor Reina, he can be hit and he can be countered.
Yeah.
And Sato's not like an output guy. He kind of picks his shots in abundance there, and he will pick his shots to land. And when he lands, he can hurt you in those spots. But to me, I think as both fighters here, I like the ceiling with Miguel Baeza, but I feel this could definitely be a tough fight here. I like the fact that Baeza kind of uses his length quite well, throws nice in combinations. And I think he can mix it up if needs be. And I think that takedown defense is not a strong suit of Sato's. We've seen Bilal get some well-timed takedowns and get to the back and so on there. But I think Miguel's more of these fist fighters first. He likes to kind of keep on the feet and really fight up there. And that's where I think he can be caught. I think if he tightens a lot of his gaps in his skill set, I think he will become a really good fighter in that division. But I think this is I actually think this is his toughest fight in his UFC tenure here.
Yeah.
Because he's very crafty. He's got a lot of experience. And he's coming off, I mean, you can't really take too much out of the Jason Witt one. He came in there very, very short notice. And he fought all right against Bilal Muhammad. I always thought he was kind of a little bit behind there, but he got a nice takedown. He landed some nice shots and Bilal kind of marked him up a little bit. So I think if Baeza comes out and fights to a game plan and doesn't really get into a slinging match, and I think he did that a little bit in Matt Brown, kind of played into his hands a little bit and maybe made however long that fight went on, I think he made it closer than he really needed to be. So a crafty southpaw as well. That's what when I watched the Victor Reina fight, he got caught with some big shots, and Reina I think is a little bit more aggressive than what Sato is, but if Sato can sit back and see those shots at the right time, I think he could catch Miguel Baeza on the end of them. So I am really struggling with this fight pick, so it might be a kind of dog or pass situation for me in this one. So I think I'm going to, I'm going to take Baeza because that was my gut feeling when I heard the fight being announced. But I think Sato could surprise an upset here. I think a lot of people will be on the Baeza side, but I think that he could cause an upset. But I will slightly go Miguel Baeza. Be a very kind of hard 15-minute fight between these two guys.
Nice, bro. Okay, cool. I'm liking this. Flyweight division next for the ladies. We have Gina Mazany against Rachael Ostovich, who's back after her suspension for a year. Kind of outskirts of the rankings, fight between these girls. What are you seeing in this to see who the winner could be?
Yeah, I mean, just a yuck fight, isn't it? Really, it's not a great fight at all. You've got both girls who are pretty much round about 500 between them. So
I think Rachel's 4-5.
4-5. So like she's even worse than that. I think Mazany's like 6-4. So
yeah,
I mean it's not great. I think this is going to be a very, very kind of sloppy fight. Where the one thing that I do like, I think Gina Mazany's been out in Kansas for this one, so she's been with James Krause at Glory MMA, which I think is a better look for her than not being in Vegas. I think I think Krause is just a great coach. I think the structure that he's got at Glory MMA is fantastic, and you're seeing that with the fighters that are coming through there, hungry, determined, looking better kind of every time out. He builds fighters up a little bit, and I think that could help someone like Mazany. When you look at Ostovich, I mean, she never really should have been in the UFC to start off with, in my opinion. I think that Invicta was probably her level, but the girl's got looks for days, and she can fight a little bit. So if you have both of them, maybe the UFC will give you a shot. A couple of losses there, a couple of submission losses to Montana De La Rosa and kind of Paige Van Zandt. You kind of seen what they did in those fights because those two girls are kind of good looking as well. So, and like I say, she's had this, she tested positive for something. So, Mazany, she was out there fighting old women before she came back and got touched by Julia Avila last time. How the fight plays out, I think they'll end up clinching up. I think there'll be I actually think there'll be takedowns on either side here. I think there's spots where they could both have like shots at submissions at points of this. I see this being just just not a great fight and being very super close where it gets to the judges' scorecard and you're like, I don't know who's really won that fight. Because like you say, Mazany, she doesn't have a hell of a lot in the feet, but she does clinch up quite a bit. And I think that Ostovich can fish for takedowns a little bit. Tough fight for me. I'm going to lean Mazany. Would prefer Ostovich side to kind of win and see her stick around a wee bit longer, but because there is some fights I think you could put her in with other girls that aren't great. And Mazany's had her second shot really this she's back in on short notice, so I'll take Mazany, but zero confidence honestly.
Yeah, I've got no confidence in either pick here. So I'll go the opposite way of Rachael. I can, even after watching a bit of tape, my thought process went, Gina's going to start in the center of the circle. She's going to pop off some shots, close the distance, get to the cage, whether it be the clinch battle. I think Rachael's going to entice the takedown, whether Gina gets the takedown herself or Rachael can reverse it just to get the fight on the ground. I feel like Rachael, even though she's lost the last two by submission, she seems more comfortable just to stay on the ground and engage in a grappling aspect. And that's where she might try to throw, like I say, she's very, very flexible. So she might go for those kind of arm bars, the kind of triangle techniques. And I think she'll really throw that in Rachael's, when she's in, Gina's in her guard. But I don't see anything other than that really sticking out. I don't feel that we'll see much from Rachael Ostovich on the striking side of it. I don't think we'll see leaps and bounds of differences with her striking development. Don't get me wrong, she might come out a little bit cleaner, a little bit more confident, but I don't think she'll stay too much on the feet. It doesn't seem that she has a lot of power in her strikes. Same with Gina as well, to be fair. I don't think Gina's got too much pop in her hands. So you're kind of seeing a decision here. It's hard to see much else. Potential random submission by both parties because someone kind of slips up. But I'll go Rachael. Zero confidence in my picks in this, bro, as well. It's an awkward one to pick. Next up we have... I don't know if it's going to stay the co-main event. I'm sure the Anthony Smith and Devin Clark will be moved to the co-main event. I don't have the official lineup, but right now we've got, I don't know, I'm going to say this out loud, Josh Parisian against Parker Porter. Well, again, this to me is like the fight below where you're a bit like, ugh. It's a bit of a, you grind your teeth together when you see it. Parker Porter is a well-rounded person, literally well-rounded, from all the all the pies he's eaten. Joe Parisian, I feel between the two of them is probably the more better rounded of them. I feel like he's got I think it's like 6'4". I think Josh is off the top of my head. I think when I watched one of his fights and had the stats out there, he fought on a Contender Series a while back, didn't he, as well? And then he did well, won that. Kudos to him. Got stuck in the Ultimate Fighter for some reason. Lost that. Went on the regional scenes. And to be fair, he's done all right in the regional scenes. He's fought who he can and what he can, based on where, and he fought on multiple promotions. And what I liked about that, the fact he's on different promotions means he didn't go to like a local show where they fed him fights. He went around different shows, which kind of forced it to them not to just cater to him because he didn't have any loyalty to them. Don't get me wrong, he fought a couple of guys who, they weren't great, but got him back in the skills again. But he did all right in the Contender Series as well, when he got on. I feel bad for Chad because Chad was about 50, 60 pounds lighter, and it just looked really weird. It looked like a gorilla fighting a little baby gorilla. Like Chad was just running around, throwing a couple of shots and trying to stay away from it. And when obviously, Josh got on top, he just flat packed him almost, and that was it. I think Josh here could get Porter down as well. I think if I'm Josh, I'm going to try and get Porter down his back and just really get heavy on him. He's hittable, Parker. I don't think he's the quickest. He doesn't have much head movement. He seems to just accept to take a few shots. Parker's got good heavy leg kicks. If he could use them well, he should be okay. But I just feel Josh has got a little bit more of a skill set and all-roundedness. He seems to be a little bit more athletic as well for a guy that size. So I'm kind of going sway towards Josh in this one. I think he can get a finish over Parker Porter and get himself kicked off and get going in this UFC heavyweight division. I think he's not a bad addition, to be honest with you. I still think he's way off what caliber you need, but I think he's pretty half decent, mate.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad. I think that he's been out there, he's been doing a show twice, he's on the Ultimate Fighter, so he's kind of paid his dues kind of around the scene before I hit the big leagues here. And I think from what I'm seeing and what I've seen on social media, he's really put everything into this camp, and he's this is his big opportunity. But I mean, he's 10-6 himself, so he's had a fair share of losses in there. And no, he's not 10-6. He's 13-3. Sorry, I was thinking of a different guy there. But I mean, he's not. I'm thinking of Parker Porter. Actually, he's 10-6. But he's kind of paid his dues outside, and he's got his opportunity to come in here. And he's went into like Aries, which is that promotion that got built up that was going to be Africa. And so he's had some spots where people have kind of believed in him, and he's got some spots there where he's all right in the feet. He likes to spin a little bit, and I think he's fairly well rounded. I think he can take you down. I think he's very dominant once he gets to mount position. I think that's where one of his strong suits is, where he can rain punches down. And Porter, to me, is a guy that, I mean, he's another one of these guys where I don't think he would make it to the UFC if we weren't in a kind of COVID era. I think that, but like I say, for guys like this, you have to take the opportunity to come in here. He's shorter. He's at a reach disadvantage. He kind of, in that first fight, he absorbed a lot of shots in that one there. I think that Josh is just a little bit too well rounded. I actually think Chris Dawkins, to be fair, I actually think he's going to be decent. I think he's going to be actually he's got the prospect of being a top 10 heavyweight. Actually, I think so. And coming in there very, very short notice as well. He's going to have more time to prepare for this one. He's not going to have the shock and awe of being in the UFC, so he could push this one here. And I'm not saying Josh Parisian's a world beater. So I think he will have opportunities. I just think that Josh, a little bit more well-rounded. I think if he gets the fight to the ground, I think he will make his way to like a mount there and kind of rain ground and pound and get a finish. So I've got Josh Parisian. He's a guy I'm kind of looking at throwing in maybe a parlay. I think he's a parlay piece at the price he's at. So I've got Josh Parisian for the win.
Nice, bro. Main event up next. Curtis Blaydes taking on Derrick Lewis. Everyone loves Derrick Lewis for his personality, let alone his awesome little fun knockouts. But a big 5-round heavyweight fight, which, you know, this, I don't know about title contention, but it certainly gets you up there as maybe, you know, one or two, maybe one fight away from a title fight, maybe with this win.
Yeah.
So, who do you think? Who are you picking though, Will?
Yeah, well, for Curtis, it's definitely an opportunity to kind of further himself a lot. He's not going to pass Francis Ngannou, unfortunately, because he's lost them a couple of times, but he's next in line after that. So if Stipe and Ngannou fight, which we think they are, then he should fight the winner. Whether they put, it's kind of awkward with the Ngannou fight. If he wins though, that's really awkward to make a third fight, because the two fights, he's won by stoppage in both fights, so it's a weird one. But if he wants to get there, he has to kind of win this fight. And Derrick Lewis, I think, it's like he's never an easy fight for anybody. It never kind of leaves him, and if he gets to some spots, he can finish you. But there's obviously clear gaps in his game. What I like about Derrick Lewis actually recently is the fact that he looks lighter. He's coming into fight week lighter. He looks in better shape. He looks like he's kind of trying to add to his kind of repertoire a little bit. Guy's got freakish power. He can blast out of positions, which I think only he can. In some spots, when he decides he wants to get back to his feet, he kind of can. So, and he's coming off 3 wins in a row. So respect to good for that. Curtis Blaydes, he showed a kind of little chink in his armor last time out. I think against Volkov, I definitely thought he would get takedowns in that fight, but I thought he would have found a way to get Volkov out of that. And then when he couldn't, he started to show some frailties where he was getting hit with some shots. I think he got taken down as well by Volkov, which was a surprise there. Now, I'm not expecting Derrick Lewis to come out shooting double legs here. It's not the way it's going to be. He's going to look standing in there. But like Blaydes has got better on his feet. I'll give him that. But we all know what Curtis Blaydes' game plan is here. He's not going to want to mess with big bombs getting thrown him by Derrick Lewis up here. Now, I think that he will get takedowns here. Obviously, it's something, he's probably the guy in the heavyweight division that's got most takedowns. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he had 14 last time out.
Mm-hmm.
But Derrick Lewis, I think, can find a way to maybe blast out a couple of them. But once he starts to get tired, I think that just the grimy style of Curtis Blaydes will take over, and he'll not be able to blast out with some of those positions. I mean, he tried to do it against DC, and DC is like high level in that division, and couldn't really do it. I think he actually did it, didn't he? Actually, I think he managed to get back to his feet a couple of times. He did, and but eventually it started to kind of wear him down. I think Curtis Blaydes is more of that ilk, where he's just going to constantly look to clinch up here and get the fight to the ground. And I just think that Derrick won't be able to blast out enough and get back to the spot where he needs to be. Now, I would like to see Derrick, actually, I wouldn't mind seeing Derrick Lewis win this fight, honestly. I think that he could still be a fun fight at the top of that division.
Yeah.
Maybe not against Ngannou, because nobody needs to see that shit every game, but people are attracted to him. I mean, his social media presence is something. It's always exciting when he comes into a fight week, because you know you're going to get some hot takes from him.
Yeah.
I just think it's a matchup for Curtis Blaydes where, again, he can rinse, repeat takedowns, be dominant in top position, and if he can find the right spot, he will get Derrick Lewis out there. So in the mid part of this fight, I think I've got Curtis Blaydes to win via TKO.
I am swaying the same way towards Curtis Blaydes, bro. Like you say, the thing about the wrestling side of it is, like Curtis, even though he gets guys down, obviously a heavyweight division, you know, they're very strong. They got the power. They get up again. He's very good at just keeping that pressure on them, putting the weight onto them, so that even the first time you get up, it's okay. But Curtis is fine. He's like, cool, you can come up again, because I'm just going to get you down now, because I've got the body clinch, I've got the leg or something. And he just grinds you, like you say, he'll grind it down. And we have seen with Derrick Lewis that if you grind him enough, he hasn't got the best gas tank, because what he doesn't do, he doesn't use technique to get himself up or technique to escape. What he does is he uses just brute strength, and brute strength will only work a few times, especially a guy like Curtis Blaydes. When you got a guy anyone who's over 230 pounds in like heavyweight division, 230 pounds is 230 pounds. It's a blinking heavy weight to move. Like, it's hard to move it off you. So I find that Derrick Lewis, you know, that's one of his downfalls, is he relies on that brute strength to just get up, move around. It's tiresome. Now, don't get me wrong, Curtis Blaydes has got to set up that takedown. And the one thing he's got to set it up with is a guy who hits you. And if he hits you, he hurts you. Derrick Lewis has got that freak power. Hits you once. Doesn't matter what time of the round it is. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. He hits you once, and you can go on Queer Street. We've seen Curtis Blaydes get rocked a few times. We've seen him hurt. It's going to be hard for Curtis Blaydes to be going constantly for takedowns. He'll want to get one takedown in, and he'll want to keep that tight then. He won't want Derrick Lewis breaking it up and circling to the center of the cage. He'll want to get Derrick Lewis straight away and hold on to it for that first round and really get the blood pumping through Derrick's arms and slow him down a lot. As long as you can keep that distance closed, he should be okay. It's just if he gives Derrick Lewis a bit of space, that's where the danger is. We've seen Derrick Lewis, well, he does these flying front kicks and all sorts. So the dude isn't exactly, I know he's huge, but the dude can move, and he's got a couple of bits in him. Now, we don't know about that back. We don't know how that back is acting on him in life and in general, and how it's impacted his training and his overall health for Derrick Lewis. But when you've got someone wrestling you, your back has to get in good nick. And Derrick Lewis has got a bit of a trouble here, because we've seen Derrick Lewis get his back taken a few, and Curtis Blaydes likes to get the back and get heavy on someone. So I'm with Derrick Lewis, bro, as well. I think, Curtis Blaydes. I think Curtis Blaydes should possibly get a submission finish here. So that's our main card picks. Let's go to the prelims. We're going to do, like, let's say, quick fire roundish, so to speak. First up, we have Jonathan Pearce against Kai Kamaka. Now, I'm going to go on the side of, I'm going to Kai Kamaka as well on this one. I think that with Jonathan Pearce, he's, you know, got the win on the Dana White Contender Series, then came up against Joe Lauzon. And Joe Lauzon, you know, they matched Joe Lauzon with him because it was a more suitable fight to get a win over Joe Lauzon, who was, you know, not looking the best. He wasn't looking the sharpest in his career, and Joe Lauzon just went, look, I'm going to get you down to the ground. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to get you out of the fight, and he did just that. So for me, I think Kai Kamaka can get takedowns, and that's something he has to put into this and apply in his fight here. I think that Jonathan Pearce, he's shown a vulnerability to getting into the exchanges. Kai Kamata's got a good chin, can throw hands himself, solid little gas tank, good at moving forward. I think if I'm Kai Kamata, I'd get the fight to the ground, get on top, and really just go for Jonathan Pearce from there. I'm going to pick Kai here. I know it's a short notice kind of step in for Kai, but I'm going to pick Kai on this one, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Kai as well. I love this first fight, honestly, in UFC. I think it won fight of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the very first fight on a pay-per-view as well.
Yeah, Kelly, him and Kelly.
That was a really, really fun fight. I thoroughly enjoyed that. He's got that Hawaiian spirit that is clear as day there. Mixed in well through a lot of big shots, combination shots, and got takedowns. Jonathan Pearce, to me, like I say, they tried to give him that spot, and he just couldn't take it, and he got stopped against Joe Lozon. To me, it's not a good look. I think he got rushed into the UFC a little bit too quick, and that you're going to get that with some fighters. I think he's one of them. So I like just the overall game of kind of Kai Kamaka. I like his durability. I think he wins this fight, so I've got Kai Kamaka in that one.
Nice. And featherweight division up next, bro, is Spike Carlyle against Bill Algeo. That alone is a fun fight. Spike is wired differently. What are you seeing, Will?
He is. He is. I watch him and he's just. I laugh like I'm doing the now. I can't help myself but laugh because some of the stuff that he does. Like, I mean, last fight he comes out and I was wanting Spike Carlyle to win that fight big against Billy Quarantine. I really want. Like, I was so on Spike Carlyle. I was actually in like a DraftKings thing there where I was in the quarterfinals of a tournament there, and I'd already won some decent money, but the more I moved on, the more money I was going to win. And this was the fight it came down to. If Spike won, my opponent had Billy, I had Spike, and I thought I was there. I actually still think he had an opportunity to win that fight on the cards as well, but it's one of those ones where it could have went either way. But when he came out, straight out the bat, and he's throwing heavy, I mean, this guy's got...
sprinting as well.
Yeah, when he's got big power in his hands, like massive, he's just a strong dude. Altogether, you see with the takedowns that he gets, and he's got awkward power, awkward shots, that he can give a lot of people problems, and I still think that, but I am worried about his kind of gas tank here. When I look at Bill Algeo, he had a barn burner against Ricardo Lamas and lost that fight. There was so much strikes like in that one there that was landed on both sides there. Lamas, has went on to retirement now, so fair dues to him. But Algeo, in my opinion, made a big step up from the Loughnane fight, even though in that fight he landed a shit ton of strikes in that one as well. But I think he's got a deficiency with takedowns. Now, Spike Carlyle's not really known for getting takedowns, but you can see he powers through and he can get them. He did it against Quarantino, who's a wrestler by trade. He come up and he wrestles. And he's just an awkward dude to kind of deal with. Like I say, I'm going to pick Spike Carlyle here. And this is probably outside the main event, which I am looking forward to seeing. And I think there's another one. I forgot the name of it. Is the Baeza Sato fight? This is the one I'm looking for because this guy, I mean, he could deliver one of these show-stopping knockouts, like a Buckley type knockout, in my opinion. And he did that with Elon Cruz fight where he caught him with a massive shot. I'm gonna take the Alpha Ginger here, and I am looking forward to seeing this fight. I just don't know what we're going to see from him. And Algeo is probably going to stand and want to trade with him. So this should be. I'd be surprised if this hits the scorecard. So I'll take Spike Carlyle via TKO.
Yeah, I'm going to go Spike Carlyle as well. I think that he's just going to be so fiery and fast in that start of the round. I think actually will get Bill down, and he probably actually. I'm going to go submission, bro. I think he might be able. Spike was really good at like maybe getting back or something. He'll just be so on him. I think he might get a submission in this Spike. I think it's a first round stoppage for me. I just feel like Bill, like I say, he has come on leaps and bounds in that Brendan fight because. And that Ricardo fight, like we saw, was definitely on the end. That was him. Nowhere near peak Ricardo. I think if he fought peak Lamas, he's getting murdered. But you just saw Lamas seemed to be like a lot slower. Just stuff that was landing wouldn't normally land. It wouldn't normally do that. That wasn't the Lamas we knew. Bill got a good fight there, good experience, a great against a very, very reputable fighter. But For me, Spike's just another fresh breed, a hungry guy. The problem with Lamas was that hunger wasn't like it was when he was younger. He's fighting a Spike who's going to be super hungry, especially after the loss he's just had. There's going to be a different kind of fire in him, I think. So I'm going with Spike, bro, as well. Next up we have, it's a catchweight fight at 140. We have Luke Sanders against Nathan Maness. Now, Will, this one here, I like Luke Sanders as a fighter. He's kind of got a good skill set. He's good footwork, good little good combination. He's got good wrestling, but I think he's going to have I think he's going to get victory here over our boy Maness here. Like Johnny Johnny Munoz, Johnny Munoz. He got his decision win there in the UFC. I think he's got a good skill set. The fights that I've seen have been interesting, but I thought Nate in the Taylor Lapilus fight was a great tell. I thought he just got completely dominated by a guy who went in there and owned that fight, and Nate didn't have an answer in that fight. I think Luke Sanders is an aggressive fighter. He can take a hit, he can come aggressive. I think he's far more comfortable in this to win. I'm going Luke Sanders all the way, bro. I just think he can definitely especially after that win against Barao that he's had, I think he should be able to go in here and really put a dominant performance against Nathan Maness here, Maness, and I think he should get the W.
Yeah, this is. I'm looking forward to this fight. Actually, I've got a little bit of action in this one, I bet, and I'll probably be giving away my bet here, but it is what it is. I'll speak about it anyway. But I like Luke Sanders here, and I actually bet him last week. I want to say last Tuesday or Wednesday, this line, and I had a look at it, and sometimes lines get released and I don't look at them automatically, and I kind of lose out on some of the value. But this one I seen, I was like, oh shit, he was an underdog, and like he was a fairly sizable underdog. He was plus 120. I was like, right,
nice.
I went and watched a couple of fights. Luckily enough, the lines were still the same, and kind of the things I was taking away there was the fact that I thought in this spot the line should be reversed. That Sanders should be the favourite. He's been there with better guys. He's got some big wins on his resume, and he's been around a long time as well. When I was watching Nathan, I just really wasn't impressed. I was kind of underwhelmed with everything that he did, especially in his kind of last fight. I mean, he's very big for the division. He's very long. He's got a height and reach advantage big time here over Luke Sanders. But I think he's very hittable. I think his striking's okay. And like I say, we've seen that Luke, on occasions, can kind of drop the ball in some situations after being up in some spots. But to me, I think Luke Sanders, with the thunderous left hand that he's got, can back him up. And I think Nathan, he accepts being backed up. And I don't think that's a good look against a power puncher like Luke Sanders. I just don't see where he's really going to win large parts of this fight. I think that Sanders has got the bigger power. I think he's got the better overall striking to him, and I just really like him in this spot. I think that he comes from a good camp there at Fight Ready. He's training with good guys from what I've seen, and as an underdog, it was a play I just had to make. So I've actually got Luke Sanders via knockout. Like I say, he does make mental lapses in fights and puts himself in spots where he can get finished. You've seen that with the submissions that's been had. The Sukumtath fight where he got knocked out as well. But I think this is a step down from people that he's been facing. But not much, but the one thing with Nathan here is that he quit his job. He's went full time with it. So we might see some big jumps in his skill here, which fighters, I'm sure all part-time fighters that are working jobs would love to go full time with here. I mean, you could start to see big improvements, but I just think Luke Sanders is the play here. So I've got Luke Sanders via knockout in the probably the first round, actually, I think.
Nice, bro. Nice. Next up, we have in the flyweight division is Mudaerji against Malcolm Gordon. Will, who you picking? What you seeing?
Well, you said it before we came on here that you think Malcolm Gordon's a bit of a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think the proof's in the pudding. If you watch the fights, the guy's very hittable, and you can knock this guy out. He's dangerous in some spots, but to me, when I look at this fight here, I like kind of what I'm seeing more from the Mudaerji side. Malcolm Gordon, I mean, he came in last time against Amir Albazi, and I mean, he got. I didn't expect it to finish that quick, but Albazi was on him as soon as he had position on the ground. He had like no opportunity of getting out of that, and he's more a submission guy as well. Some funky striking. He is super dangerous with his jiu-jitsu though. So you have to be super careful. And Mudaerji is a very young fighter, still learning the game. I still think he was in the UFC too early. Was he like 23 years old, 23, 24 years old? So I think we're going to start seeing big kind of jumps in his game. But this might be the type of fight that maybe Malcolm Gordon can maybe latch onto something and submit this dude, because he has lost a couple of fights via submission and he's shown he's a little bit of a fish out of water on the spot there. But to me, on the feet, like I said, I do not trust Malcolm Gordon at all. Like Mudaerji in that spot, if this fight hits the ground, you maybe have to lean on the Malcolm Gordon side. For me, I'm going to go with the youngster here. I like more from what I'm seeing. I like where I think he's going to go. I think he's got a higher ceiling. So I will go with Mudaerji to kind of win a striking-based decision here, catch Gordon, maybe even get a... He could easily take him out, I think, as well, but I'll take a striking-based 30-27 decision for me.
Nice, bro. Yeah, I'm with you as well. I think Sue should... I actually think Sue will stop him. I think his hands and speed... I think he'll cause Malcolm problems. Malcolm will jump for the grapple aspect. He'll go for the takedown, and that's all he wants is to get the grappling aspect going in because he's got quite a long body for the weight class, so it suits him well for the grapplings. To grab you into get your back, get the body triangles, and really lock in stuff. And don't get me wrong, Malcolm likes to get the grappling aspect, but on the feet, man, he just shows vulnerabilities. I do think he's going to get murked by some guys. If he even wins this fight and gets going up the ranks, there's guys that will just absolutely starch him with their hands. And I think Sue's going to do the same, though, today. This weekend, I think he's going to show a bit of good footwork, movement, and then just land those hands. And Malcolm's going to really start to cave in quick. So I'm going Sue all day on that one. Well, next up, we have another awesome little flyweight fight. We have Amir Albazi against Zhalgas Zhumagulov. 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 Yeah. Well, Zhumagulov, that was it. Do you know what annoying? Like say, I watch the video, see the names, hear them, I go, right, that's it. And then when I read them, I go, what's that again? How do you say it again? Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Yeah. But no, Zhumagulov here, I think he's a fun fighter. I think he's an interesting one. I think he's got a good all-round skill set. I think he's a hard, toughened fighter. He will go round after round after round. He's a good fighter. He's fought some good guys like Tyson Nam, got a decision win against him. Tagir Ulanbekov, he got a win over him as well. Ali Bagatinov, he got a decision win over him. The dude's fought some just legit guys out there, and he's just a hard-nosed fighter. He will fight you and grind you and beat you in that way. He's got a good skill set, comes forward, nice aggression on him. I think Amir, he might get a bit overwhelmed for me, bro. I'm going to pick... I think Amir might get just a little bit overwhelmed in the fight. I think he might just... I what I mean by overwhelmed, I think it just might be a bit too much pressure on him, bit too aggressive for him, and I think he might find this a bit... this fight catch him out. So I'm going Zhalgas. I'm going to go with... because it'll remind me of the Josie Torres fight that Amir had, where Josie Torres just was walking him down at some point. I just think he's going to have the kind of similar thing again, where Zhalgas is just going to be too aggressive on the feet, too active, and I'm going Zhalgas for the win.
It's a pick and fight. The betting line's kind of there's not a hell of a lot between them, I don't think. Like I say, I was impressed with Albazi and his skills on the ground, and I kind of reached out to some of the guys because he fights out. He's from Sweden, but he fights out the London Shoot Fighters gym. And I know a couple of guys in there, and they say this guy's like glue when he hits the ground. He positions himself very well. He looks for submissions, but he's very kind of calm and kind of composed in doing that. But to me, Zhalgas is just a hard fight, I think, for a lot of flyweights. You've seen that last time out. I had money on Paiva last time, and I actually think Zhalgas won the fight, in my opinion. And I'm not, like I say, I was happy to take the money in that fight, but... Yeah. To me, Zhalgas probably should have got the nod in that one, and it being a unanimous decision to Paiva, I didn't really agree with that. I thought that Zhalgas shown that he's got some striking prowess there, and he can mix in takedowns. Like I said, I don't know whether he wants to really go to the ground with this guy, because I think this guy's crafty, and I think he can snatch things up really, really quick. And when you look at Zhalgas, I mean, he's not been... I want to say he was submitted. I think I watched a fight where he was submitted back in the day. Or was it decision? No, I don't think it was. I think there was some close spots there. I remember watching. I think it was the Shaj Hack one. Was he got caught in a couple of positions there where he nearly got caught there? But most of his wins or most of his losses are by decision. All of them, in fact. So I just think he's going to win a very kind of, I don't want to say close decision. I think it might play out closer, but I think it'll be maybe a more kind of dominant scorecards. I can see maybe Albazi taking a round off Zhalgas, but I just think he's going to do enough to win a very kind of closely contested decision. But I think he's just an awkward fighter to face, in my opinion. And he's hard to, when you watch the Ulanbekov fight, I don't think he won that fight. Honestly, I think that the Bagatinov fight, I think he was lucky to come out of those two fights with wins. But it seems when the fights are close, he seems to kind of get the nod in them as well. So, except for the last one, obviously. So,
Yeah.
I'll go Zhalgas Zhumagulov as well, but like it's a close fight, and the betting line kind of rectifies that for me. So if you've got a bet and you've got a strong lean on the fight that you're watching and what you're seeing, take the shot. I think if you can get plus money either side, but I'm going to go Zhalgas in that one.
Okay, next up, bro, we have bantamweight division Martin Day against Anderson dos Santos. Who you picking, bro?
I think I'm leaning on the Martin Day side. But the kind of bet that I like, or one of the spot that I like, is probably under 2.5 rounds. I think both guys here have got a good opportunity to maybe stop each other. We've seen Martin Day when he gets too aggressive, he can be caught with a counter shot. And like Davy Grant is not known for being a one punch knockout guy, and he caught him with an absolute howitzer of a shot and put him out. Really, really big here. Both guys, I think, are going to be. The thing with this fight here, I think that both guys are fighting for their jobs here. So this could either be very close on a scorecard, or we're going to see a kind of all-out brawl where both guys are going to be going for it. And it's a hard fight for me to pick on this one, but it's where the fight's going to take place, because I think if it stays on the feet, I think the overall aggressiveness of Martin Day, I think he's a more better kind of technician on the feet. Could kind of play into his part there, but to me, Dos Santos, I think, can maybe initiate some takedowns in this one here, and it's not something that he's done all too often. He did it in the Andre Ewell fight where he got him down a couple of times, but Andre Ewell's very easy to take down, and he still lost that one. So after kind of getting beat up on the feet. So that's kind of what I'm saying. I think Martin Day could start off early where he could pop his jab, stay long, hitting some combination strikes. But I think if Dos Santos was to get him to the ground, I think that's where he could pose some problems for Martin Day. So I'm going to go with Martin Day via TKO. I think, not confident, but I think, like I say, in that Davy Grant one fight, I thought it was close. I thought he was in that fight, and I think he got super aggressive and just kind of paid the price for it. And you kind of seen that where he's got a couple of losses against Martin, Yu Ping Liang, Jamie Alvarez as well in the Dana White Contender Series. I'll go Martin Day, but not confident.
It's a hard one, bro. Yeah, I'm with Martin Day a little bit as well. The pair of them, though, have been stopped in their careers a couple of times. Anderson Silva, though, for me, I feel like he's taken a bit more damage over the time. He's a bit more open to be receiving shots. It seems that he tries to use a showboat, and when he's getting hit and he comes forward a bit more, and almost feels like if he takes a shot, it's going to look good on camera. But I think, on a judge's scorecard, they don't care about that. They want to see, they want to see it not get hit. But I think with this one, like you say, well, the both of them are fighting for the job. So we're going to see a very aggressive potential fight of the night, because the pair of them want to get that extension on the contract and stay in the UFC. So I think we might get a different fight than what we're used to seeing from the pair of them. We might get an overly aggressive approach from both of them. I'm going to sword towards Martin Day. I feel like he's maybe got a little bit more to offer to get the victory. Anderson, for me, I feel like it looked like he had the potential coming into the UFC, and he just hasn't applied it yet. I just don't know if he will be able to apply it in a fight like this as well. It's one of them ones. Do you just go for a boring covering blanket for 3 rounds? They might not even offer you a new contract then. It feels like you have to go out there and fight for your life. So I'm going Martin Day on this one. Next up, we have, last fight on the breakdown quickly is women's bantamweight. Ashlee Evan Smith is taking on Norma Dumont Viana. Now, Norma came into the UFC to fight Megan Anderson in a weight class that she doesn't really fight in at featherweight. The 145 division is a pointless weight class anyway in the UFC for the women's division. Nowhere near enough talent. nowhere near enough time and pointless having it. It's just a waste of the weight class, and not enough girls to fight in there. But, it happened. She got in there. She got way outclassed. She gave the big talk in the fight saying she's going to beat her. Amanda Nunes is next. And I watched her tape study before, and I thought, you fought against Amanda Nunes with one arm tied behind her back, you would get still battered. I think she's in for a rough ride in this fight as well. She's aggressive, which is going to play perfectly into Ashlee Evans-Smith's game. Ashlee Evans-Smith has got a solid wrestling background in high school. She's got a good grappling aspect here. I think she has got to do what she needs to do. Norma comes in, you get the takedown, you get on top, you beat her with those fists, and maybe go for a submission. I think Norma's going to get either beaten in a decision, or she's going to get stopped with a TKO from ground and pound from Ashlee Evans-Smith.
Yeah, it's not a fight I've looked into obviously that much. I can only watch the UFC fight of Norma last time. I've watched a couple of Ashlee Evans-Smith, and I mean she should really be winning kind of fights like this against your Norma Dumont. I mean, she's been around a little bit longer. She's fought okay girls. I mean, Andrea Lee and Caitlin Vieira, girls are very good, serviceable fighters. She gets takedowns in some of those spots as well. That's something I think she's got an advantage here, where she can potentially take the fight to the ground, but it's hard to. I mean, she could get caught in a spot where Norma maybe catches on a submission. It's very low level women's MMA where the fight's pretty much a pick 'em again, where you can see it being close in a lot of the spots here. So I really want no action on this. I'm leaning on the Ashlee Evans-Smith side because, like I say, from what I've seen of Norma, it doesn't really impress me all too much. So I'll take Ashlee Evans-Smith via decision.
Okay, nice, bro. And that's our picks, ladies and gentlemen, for the fight card. Obviously, give us your picks below and hit that subscribe button if you have not all done already, and hit the like button too while you're there. Will, what bets, though, have you got for this week to look out for?
At the minute, I've got the one bet up in it. It's Luke Sanders at plus 120. I think when I seen that, I was like, oh my days! I was like, what is going on here? So, and now he's been bet where he's a favourite. I know that because I looked earlier.
Yes, he is.
So somehow I've lost it. So he's minus 135. So that line is completely switched to now. Nate is like plus 115. So it's like the lines have completely reversed. So I'm really happy I got in that, and I've got some good line value. I just need the guy to win the fight now, and I think he should do it. Josh Parisian is a guy I'm looking at to possibly parlay up against Parker Porter. I'm not sold on Parker Porter. I can't say I'm overly on Josh Parisian either. I don't think he's all that great, but I think he wants it more. I think he'll probably put in a harder camp for this one, and I think if he can get it to the ground, somehow find a way to the spot where he gets in a mount position or something, I think he could stop the fight there. He's around about minus 210 in the UK here. But it's hard to really match him up with someone. The kind of spot I'm looking at is actually over 1.5 rounds in the main event of Blaydes and Lewis, and maybe parlay those two up. But outside of that, I mean, it's kind of Mudaerji. I would like the line a little bit lower. He's minus 330. Kai Kamaka is minus 300 here in the UK, which I suppose I could look at a little bit. Spike Carlyle he's one of those guys. So there's some fighters that just draw me in every time wanting to bet them. So like Nikita Krylov, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. I bet Nikita Krylov every fight. Who was the last guy? Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
Mm-hmm.
He caught me again. It's the second time I got burned on him again. I think I bet on Spike Carlyle last time out, and that number is really intriguing to me. Like minus 160, I think it's minus 155 here in the UK. I mean, that's kind of really tempting to me. So that's something I'm going to watch through the week to see where the line goes. And hopefully, if I can get it lower, then it might tempt me a little bit. Like say Miguel Baeza, I think it's a fight I need to pass because I do think that Sato was a path to victory. But if you've got a good read in that spot, I mean, Baeza to me is a very, very talented looking fighter. But I think there's some spots that he can get caught in. So outside of that, not too much alike. The Anthony Smith, Devin Clark fight is a little bit intriguing. Minus 135 for Smith and Devin Clark there. But like I say, the main event, you could parlay up Curtis Blaydes if you're confident. And I think he's a decent parlay piece. I don't know whether it's a spot I want. I think the spot I would want is over 1.5 rounds, which is minus 150. Which I think is actually a fairly decent spot. But like I say, for me, most of my betting focus is actually on next week. I've actually got a couple of bets in line for that one. I think it's a really fun-looking card next week in Vegas, and like I say, we're into a run in December where... Actually, do you know if the Hermanson-Holland fight's still going ahead? Because I've seen that Holland was talking about coming out, or like he wasn't in the fight anymore. That he did that last week, but
Yeah, I've not heard anything about it officially.
yeah,
There's no, so I don't know if maybe they've tried to find a replacement before they announce anything, or it's just all talk. I've heard nothing myself on social media. I just had a quick check on Twitter then to see if there was any updates or news anyway about any changes potentially. But that card, like you say, bro, is a good fight card. You know, for some reason, Matt Wyman's still fighting beyond all comprehension why he's still allowed to fight. Is it Betch Correa's last fight as well? Is it?
Yeah, it is. So like I say, it's a fun. I actually think it's a fun looking card. Like the main event, I think it's a good main event. You've got. I know I shouldn't be interested in this fight, but Gian Vellante against Jake Collier. I'm like, why?
Two fat light heavyweights. I like it.
Why is Gian Vellante like -200? I know that Jake Collier is like a completely different person now, but it's like I don't think he's that much worse than what Gian Vellante is. And then Cody Durden against Jimmy Flick, great fight.
Yeah.
The Leeds is back, great fight. Zhumagulov
against Landwehr. That's Landwehr. That's a hell of a fight.
And then you've got my boy Ilia Tapura, who I there's not too many fighters I kind of fanboy out over, especially kind of new guys in the UFC. But I really rate this kid highly, and I think that was a great win against Yusuf Salal, jumping back in there soon again. And Jordan Levitt from the Dana White Contender Series, got to give him some props there. And then I'm really interested in this Teko fight against Smolka, because Smolka, in my opinion, find a way out of that last fight. I think he knew it as well. So interesting to see he botched his weight cut last time. It's only, I think it's 2 weeks later that fight's getting put back together. So yeah. I'm interested to see how that one goes. And like you were saying, Evloev is a guy that me and you've talked about before, is a really solid fighter. So and then we're on to UFC 256, and just a great end to the year. So like I said, going back over my bets, I've got Luke Sanders 2 units at plus 120 there, but I don't think I'm going to have all too much action in this one this week. But I am looking ahead to a very good card for next week. So yeah,
nice, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
like we said before. So go ahead, bro.
I'm just going to say a happy Thanksgiving to all our people in America over there, because they've got the Thanksgiving this week, so they'll enjoy a nice break. So just over here, the only reason I know that is because it's the end of November usually, but the NFL has 3 games on a Thursday, which I finish when the games start. So I'm going to spend my whole entire Thursday night watching NFL. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Nice. Look, have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your week, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week for, like you said, that card. Just have a great time.